welcome to the deep dive. We've gotten so many stories about acts of kindness, like from the tiniest things to these huge global movements. And wow, just reading through them, it's really inspiring.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's really craving those heartwarming stories, but maybe also wanting to understand how these little things can actually cause bigger changes, you know?
Absolutely. So today, get ready because we're going global. We've got a retirees library. It's in a garden shed in Dublin, and we're going to make our way all the way to a life-saving blood donation in Tokyo.
Get ready for a wild ride because we're about to see just how powerful kindness can be.
Okay, so to kick things off, let's do a quick kindness countdown around the world just to set the scene. First stop, Dublin. Imagine you're walking down the street and you stumble upon a garden shed, but it's been turned into this incredible free library.
What's so cool about that is that it's not just about the books, right? It's that deeper need we all have for connection, this sense of belonging. It's like a shared space.
Exactly. And speaking of community, picture this. A packed subway station in Toronto, a man in a wheelchair, and the escalator's broken.
Oh no.
What happens next is amazing. A bunch of people, just commuters, they step up and lift him in his chair to safety. Just goes to show you, even in a busy city, people care.
It's a perfect example of, pro-social behavior, what psychologists call it, these actions that benefit others, and often it's driven by empathy, like our ability to actually feel what others are feeling.
Next up, Sydney, Australia. There's a florist there who started giving away flowers, totally free. But there's a twist. You have to promise to share those flowers with a complete stranger.
I love that. It adds that little bit of social obligation. So now it's not just receiving kindness, you're being asked to become a part of it.
It's like a pay-it-forward chain reaction of smiles. All right, now let's go to a classroom in Nairobi, Kenya. There, these school children, they all chipped in their lunch money to buy a new uniform for a classmate who couldn't afford one.
Heartwarming for sure. But it also makes you think, how early on we develop empathy and generosity. Can you imagine the impact of that act, not just right then, but as that kid grows up?
Such a powerful example, for sure. Okay, last stop on our kindness countdown, New Orleans. These tourists were so moved by a street musician's music that they organized a whole surprise concert for him. His dream was to play with other musicians, and they made it happen.
Music is powerful, right? I mean, research actually shows it has this unique ability to bring out strong emotions and create those social bonds. And this story, well, it just shows you how far people will go to make a stranger's dream come true.
That was quite a trip around the world. But we're just getting started. Now let's take a deep dive into 5 specific stories that really highlight the ripple effects of kindness.
I'm ready. I think these stories are going to reveal some really fascinating things about human behavior and what motivates us.
So first we go back to London, this time to the London Marathon. Some runners decided to dedicate every single mile of their race to someone they know who's struggling with mental health. It's an amazing way to bring attention to a cause that, often gets overlooked.
What's interesting is this idea of collective efficacy, the belief that together, as a group, you can actually make a difference. These runners, they weren't just running for themselves, they were drawing strength from each other and this common cause.
And think about all the people they inspired to open up about their own struggles, to actually reach out for help. It shows how being vulnerable can create connection and even healing.
Totally. By sharing their stories so publicly, these runners helped break down the stigma and, started a conversation. All right, ready for a completely different scene. Let's head to a grocery store in Atlanta, Georgia.
This is where a single mom, trying to make ends meet, had her grocery bill paid for out of the blue by a stranger. And what really got to her was the note. It said, "I was once in your shoes." It wasn't just the money, it was that empathy,
Yeah.
that understanding, like someone sees her, gets it.
It totally validated her struggles, right? It reminded her she's not alone in this. And her story, it went viral. It inspired others to do the same. It's amazing how one person's kindness can be so contagious.
That's that social contagion in action, right? Like, just as yawn can be contagious, so can kindness. Seeing generosity, it actually activates those reward centers in our brains, making us more likely to be kind ourselves.
Exactly.
So it's a good kind of virus then. Okay, next deep dive, get ready to be inspired by a young boy in Mumbai, India.
Oh, this one's amazing. This young man, he faces some physical limitations, but he expresses himself through dance and with so much joy and passion that his videos went viral.
His story started this whole global dance challenge, people from all over joining in, showing support. Talk about turning limitations into inspiration.
It really challenges our ideas about ability and what's normal, right? This boy, by embracing what he loves, he created this space where differences are celebrated, not just tolerated. And the response, it shows you the power of connecting with someone's true, authentic self.
Okay, ready for story number 4. We're going to a small town in Vermont. They have this awesome community book exchange. It's simple, take a book, leave a book, but the impact is huge.
It's amazing how something like that, sharing books, becomes this shared experience. It sparks conversations, build that sense of community.
And it's deeper than just reading, right? It's about trust, giving back, knowing we're part of something bigger than ourselves.
Totally. It's like the gift economy, the idea that value comes from giving and receiving, not just buying and selling. That book exchange is a perfect example. Okay, our final deep dive takes us to Tokyo, Japan. This teenager, he finds out his blood type is really rare and it's desperately needed to save a young girl's life. Without a second thought, he donates.
That selflessness is incredible. But what's even more amazing is that his story led to a huge increase in blood donations across the city.
Wow.
It's like one person's bravery can mobilize a whole community. It shows you we all have the potential to make a difference.
This is pure altruism, selfless concern for others. And, a lot of people think humans are selfish deep down, but research shows that doing things for others actually releases endorphins, makes us feel good.
So it's a win-win. We have others and feel great doing it. Wow, in this first part of our deep dive, we've really traveled the world, explored so many acts of kindness, and started to understand the psychology behind them. But we've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to uncover. Going through all those stories, something really hit me. It's like they're not just random events. There's something bigger happening.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's that whole hashtag kindness chain thing, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like kindness has gone viral. People are doing kind things on purpose and then like challenging others to do the same. It's amazing, these waves of positivity.
Like a game, but with real-life impact. Have you seen any really cool examples of this hashtag kindness chain in action?
Oh, tons. There was this story about a woman in California. She paid for the coffee of the person behind her in line and then challenged the barista to do the same for the next person.
I love that. So simple, but so powerful. But wouldn't that, get expensive for the barista after a while?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think in that case, it eventually stopped. But the idea is for the kindness to keep going. And there's research on this pay it forward stuff, and it turns out that even seeing someone be kind makes us more likely to be kind ourselves.
Ah, I get it. So it's not about making this never-ending chain. It's about inspiring people to be more generous and caring just in their everyday lives.
Exactly. And what's great about the hashtag kindness chain is that anyone can do it. You don't have to be rich or have tons of time. It could be as simple as, I don't know, holding a door open, leaving a nice note for a coworker, or donating a few bucks to a charity.
It's really empowering, right? Giving people a way to make a difference in their communities. It's like that collective efficacy we were talking about earlier. If we believe our actions matter, we're more likely to actually do something.
Right. And with this hashtag kindness chain, you feel like you're part of something bigger. It's not just a good deed. You're part of this global movement. That feeling of connection, of being part of something meaningful, it's really powerful.
But are there any downsides? Could it become all about showing off or lose its sincerity?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think with any social movement, there's always that risk. It can get watered down, become less authentic. And with social media, there's that pressure to record and share everything, which can feel kind of fake sometimes.
So how do we keep the hashtag kindness chain true to its roots? That empathy, the genuine connection.
I think it comes down to intention. If we're just doing it for the likes or the attention, then yeah, it becomes meaningless. But if it's about truly making a difference, then it doesn't really matter what it looks like. It's that spirit of generosity that matters.
Totally. It should be about the act itself, not about getting recognition. It's about making someone's day, sending out that positive energy.
And remember, kindness doesn't have to be this big, elaborate thing. Sometimes the smallest gestures mean the most. A smile, listening to someone, offering help, those can make a world of difference.
The more we talk about this, the more I see this hashtag kindness chain as more than just a trend. It's like this reflection of what we all crave, that connection, compassion, and meaning.
I agree. It taps into something very human, this understanding that we're all linked and our actions affect others in big ways. And in a world that often feels divided, this hashtag kindness chain, it's like a little bit of hope, a reminder that we're in this together.
So let's hear from you, our listeners. What are your experiences with kindness, giving or receiving?
What really stood out to you from the stories we shared? Did any of them connect with you personally?
And has this conversation sparked any ideas for how you might start your own chain reaction of kindness?
It really doesn't have to be anything huge. Remember, even the smallest things can create those ripples. Maybe pay for someone's coffee, leave a nice note for a stranger, just offer help to someone who needs it.
Or even just give a genuine compliment. Truly listen to someone. Just Be more aware of how you interact with people throughout the day.
So many possibilities. And don't forget, kindness is contagious. When you spread kindness, and you're not just making someone else's day, you're creating a better world.
So what are you waiting for? Let's be the change. Let's choose kindness every single day.
To a kinder, more connected world. And hey, share your kindness stories with us using #KindnessChain. We'd love to hear about the ripples you're creating out there.
Speaking of communities, in our final part, we're going to explore how kindness works on a bigger scale, from neighborhoods and towns to cities and even whole countries. Get ready to be inspired by how people are coming together to create a more compassionate world.
It's amazing, right? All these stories, they show how kindness, it's like this really deep part of what makes us human.
Totally. It's like it's built into us somehow. Makes you think maybe this isn't just like a nice topic, but something we actually need for our own well-being and like for society as a whole.
That's a really interesting idea, and there's a lot of research now showing that that might be true. Studies have found that doing kind things can be good for us physically and mentally.
Really? Like, how so?
Well, they've found that being kind can release endorphins, those feel-good chemicals in the brain, and it can lower stress, boost your immune system, even help you live longer.
Wow, so kindness isn't just good for your heart, like metaphorically, but literally too.
Exactly, and it's not just the person doing the kind thing. Receiving kindness, it can make you happier, more grateful, feel better about yourself. It can even make you feel like you belong, strengthen those social connections.
This is making me rethink my whole life. Maybe we should be like prescribing kindness, like a daily vitamin.
I love that. And it's not a new idea. Lots of cultures and philosophies for ages, they've talked about how important compassion and helping others is for a good society.
So this hashtag kindness chain, it's kind of tapping into something ancient, universal. Like we've always known deep down that kindness is good for us.
I think you're right. And now we're actually starting to get scientific proof to back that up.
It makes you wonder, how do we actually put this into practice? Not just as individuals, but like on a bigger scale.
That's the big question, right? How do we make communities, institutions, even whole societies more kind and compassionate?
Well, some cities are trying different things, like they're having random acts of kindness day, starting community gardens where people work together, even designing public spaces to be more welcoming.
That's awesome. It's great to see these ideas happening. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Small things can make a difference.
Like what?
Well, even just encouraging people to make eye contact and smile at each other, strangers, or having benches and places to sit in public areas so people slow down and talk to each other.
It's like creating environments that encourage kindness, setting the stage for good interactions.
Exactly, and it goes beyond just physical places. Schools and workplaces can have programs that teach empathy, cooperation, how to solve conflicts peacefully.
Yeah, it makes sense. If we learn these skills early on and practice them at work, it could spread throughout society.
Totally. And imagine if we could do this online too. I mean, the internet can be so negative, but it can also connect people.
So maybe the next step for this hashtag kindness chain is taking it online, spreading compassion and understanding through the digital world.
I love that. What if we all tried to be more mindful of how we interact online? Like engage in thoughtful conversations, use our platforms to share messages of kindness and hope.
We've talked about so much today, from those personal stories to the science of why it's good for us, and even how to make whole communities more compassionate.
It's been pretty inspiring, and I think the main takeaway is that kindness isn't just a nice thing to do, it's essential for us to thrive.
And the best part is everyone can do it. We all have the power to make a difference. So let's go out there and be that change. Let's choose kindness each and every day.
To more connected world. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the power of human connection. And until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and most importantly, stay kind.